Hello, BookTube. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Juan. I am just one reader, and in this video, I want to recommend a book that will blow your socks off. The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. And just by the title alone, the title is such an indicator of the weirdness that's coming in this book. This book is one of the most wildly imaginative, creative, unique, different, risque books that I have read in recent years. And I wanted to talk about it in a separate video because I really want to recommend it to everyone. This is not a book for everyone. I don't think everyone is the audience for this book. However, I do think the book is so special and different that many people need to read it, at least to try it out and see for themselves if they get along with it or not. The book is a gem. It's a book that I just don't understand. How is it even possible that it's so overlooked? This book deserves a lot more attention, a lot more hype. This book should be much more widely read, in my opinion, but it is a strange book. The book is so refreshing. It was refreshing to me. It is a fantasy book, but it's a standalone, which is refreshing in and of itself. You know, it's not a part of a series or a trilogy or a quartet or anything like that. That is very refreshing, because a lot of people just want a good fantasy story in one book, and this delivers in spades. This book is not really easy to grasp at first. It's a book that can be frustrating in the way that it's told. However, listen to me. Do not give up. I have to confess, the first 100 pages of this book were kind of weird for me. I was sort of getting my bearings and sort of finding the flow of the story and the writing. The writing can be a little overwhelming sometimes. It's not exactly purple prose, but it is very grandiose, evoking. It evokes this sense of grandiosity and wonder, you know. This book feels a lot like a Hayao Miyazaki film, like a Studio Ghibli movie. It's vibrant, it's colorful, it's evocative, it's so imaginative. If I had to choose just one word to describe the book and the writing, it would be imaginative. It's one of the few fantasy books that I've read in recent years that have given me that sense that I'm always looking for in a fantasy book. That feeling of true fascination, of like opening your eyes like in wonder, and it's kind of terrifying and scary. It's fascinating. It's just filled with wonder, and it's a book that requires that the reader put effort into it, and time and patience and dedication. It's not an easy read at first. The reader has to be constantly working with the book in order to create these images in your imagination. It's just such an evocative, imaginative experience. It really was like watching one of those like Spirited Away movies, you know, like Studio Ghibli. It's so like wildly imaginative. However, what the book does the best, in my opinion, is the playfulness, how playful it is with the formatting and the structure. It's a book that is told in second person and in third person. It's told via flashbacks. There's flashbacks, there's jumps in time to the future, to the past. There's things that are happening simultaneously, and there's characters that are not even present in the book and still are present in the narrative. It's very, very hard to explain. There is a fantasy story at the core of the book. However, the book is so much more. If I told you the fantasy part of the book, you would be kind of underwhelmed. It's about two men who are journeying through this weird, fantastical land, and they have to carry a goddess from point A to point B, and they have to sort of overthrow this ruler, the emperor. But that's really not what the book really is about. The book is, I think this is one of those perfect examples of a book that is much more than the sum of its parts. The individual pieces or ingredients of this book are good, but when you really put everything together, it becomes an experience. And wow, what an experience it is. This has some elements of some of my favorite books, like the Never-Ending Story by Michael Ende. It's really refreshing to read a book that can do the wonders that this book did for me. And finally, I want to say that this book also really made me feel like it was mimicking the psychoanalytical experience, because, you know, as a psychoanalyst, something that I have been trained to do is listening to a patient in a way that is quite specific and unique. And it's something that only psychoanalysis can do. Other therapists or therapies just don't do that. And that's what makes psychoanalysis different and special and valuable. The way that we listen to the patient is very specific. We are listening to the conscious discourse that the patient is relaying verbally, explicitly, but that's only like 40% of it. We as psychoanalysts know and understand that there's so much more surrounding what the patient is actually saying out loud, and we have to listen for those things that are happening around what the patient is verbally saying. And that's something that the book mimics wonderfully. It's a book that is telling a story, but at the same time, there's so much more happening in the periphery. It's very hard for me to explain the psychoanalytical experience with words, because it's something that you have to physically do, and that's something that we train for many years in order to achieve. But reading this book sort of mimicked that experience for me. So that's also very interesting. Anyway, that's my not really review. It's a recommendation for The Spear Cuts Through Water. It's such a refreshing, imaginative, wild book. And I really want to thank the person who recommended this book to me in the first place. That's one of my viewers. Someone watching a video of mine a few months ago, well, not like 6 months ago probably, recommended this book to me, and they were right. I don't know who it was. I wanted to here publicly express my gratitude, because that person, oh my God, you have given me a wonderful experience. This is the kind of fantasy that I think we should be celebrating, and we should get rid of the Brandon Sandersons of the world that are destroying fantasy. This is fantasy.